I need you to sit down for this, not scroll, not half listen, not treat this like background noise while you answer messages. Sit down, because I am 84 years old, and I am going to tell you something that took me most of my life to understand. My name is Eleanor Whitmore. I have buried a husband, I have buried friends, and I have buried a child. When you live long enough, life stops being theoretical. It stops being motivational quotes and productivity systems. It becomes painfully clear. And what becomes clear is this: most people do not die from disease. They die from postponement. They die from waiting. They die from living like they are in rehearsal. Let me explain. When I was 27, I thought life would begin once things settled down. When I was 35, I thought life would begin once the children were older. When I was 46, I thought life would begin once the mortgage was paid. When I was 60, I thought life would begin once I retired. And now I am 84. There is no once. There is only now. But most people never realize this until their body begins shutting down. You think you have time. You think you can afford to be cautious. You think you can afford to hold grudges. You think you can afford to delay joy. You cannot. I learned this the hardest way possible. When I was 39, my son Daniel died in a car accident. One phone call, one rainy evening, and my entire understanding of time shattered. The day before, I had told him we would talk later. I had been busy grading papers, making dinner, handling important things. We would talk later. There was no later. Do you understand what that does to a mother? It makes you realize that later is a fantasy word. It is a story we tell ourselves to feel safe. But life does not promise later. After Daniel died, I spent years angry. Angry at God. Angry at the world. Angry at people who still had their children. But anger is exhausting. And one day, in my late 50s, I realized something. Grief is love with nowhere to go. And anger is fear of feeling the grief fully. So I let myself feel it. And something changed. I stopped rushing. I stopped arguing over small things. I stopped pretending achievements mattered more than people. Because here is the truth no one tells you. When you are at the end, your resume means nothing. No one gathers around your hospital bed to discuss your performance reviews. They remember how you made them feel. They remember if you were present. They remember if you were kind. Let me tell you something else. I was a teacher for 40 years. I watched thousands of children grow up. The ones who were happiest, it was not the smartest, not the richest, not the most talented. It was the ones who were not afraid to be themselves. You spend your 20s trying to impress. Your 30s trying to compete. Your 40s trying to secure. Your 50s trying to recover. Your 60s trying to slow down. Your 70s trying to hold on.
And if you are lucky enough to reach your 80s, you finally understand that none of it required as much fear as you gave it.
And if you are lucky enough to reach your 80s, you finally understand that none of it required as much fear as you gave it.
Fear steals more life than death ever will. You are afraid to start, afraid to quit,
Afraid to say, I love you first. Afraid to say, I'm sorry. Afraid to change direction. And for what? For people who are just as insecure as you are, here is something brutal. No one is thinking about you as much as you think they are. They are busy worrying about themselves. So why are you shrinking? Why are you postponing joy? Why are you working 60 hours a week for a title that will be replaced in 2 weeks when you're gone? I watched my husband do that. He was a good man, but he was always tired, always stressed, always almost done. He retired at 67. He died at 68. 1 year. One single year of finally living. Do you see the pattern? Life does not wait for your 5-year plan. It interrupts. And when it interrupts, you do not get to negotiate. Now listen carefully. This does not mean quit your job tomorrow. It does not mean be reckless. It means stop postponing presence. Eat dinner without your phone. Look at your partner when they speak. Call your mother. Sit outside and do nothing. Forgive someone. You think these things are small. They are not small. They are life. I sit in this quiet house now. The clocks are loud. The evenings are long. And I do not replay arguments I won. I do not replay money I made. I do not replay awards. I replay laughter, Sunday mornings, simple dinners, conversations I almost missed. That is the currency that remains. You want to know the secret to dying without regret? Live like today matters, because it does. Practice this. When you hug someone, imagine it might be the last time. Not in a morbid way, in a present way. You will hold tighter. You will mean it more. When you drink your coffee, taste it. When you walk outside, look up. You are not here to win. You are here to experience. And experience requires attention. I wasted years believing success would protect me from pain. It doesn't. I wasted years believing planning would control the future. It doesn't. I wasted years believing I needed to be strong all the time. You don't. Strength is not suppression. Strength is feeling fully and still choosing love. You are going to lose people. You are going to fail. You are going to age. That is guaranteed. What is not guaranteed is whether you were awake while it happened. Most people are asleep in their own lives, scrolling, comparing, waiting, delaying. And then one day, they wake up at 80 and wonder where it went. Do not be that person. You think you have decades. Maybe you do, maybe you don't. Either way, today is real, tomorrow is fiction. And here is the final truth. You do not need to earn rest. You do not need to earn love. You do not need to earn worth. You are not a machine. You are not a resume. You are not a productivity report. You are a temporary human being on a fragile planet with a limited number of mornings left. Treat them like this. You are a temporary human being on a fragile planet with a limited number of mornings left. Treat them like they matter, because they do. I am 84 years old. My body is slower. My hands shake. My friends are fewer. But my mind is clear. And if I could place one thing into your hands, it would be this. Stop waiting to live. Stop assuming later. Stop believing fear deserves authority over your decisions. Be here, now. Call someone. Forgive someone. Start something. End something. But do not postpone your life, because one day you will be sitting where I am sitting. And the only question that will matter is, did you actually live? Or were you just preparing to? I hope you choose wisely.